Hey guys, Dark Skeleton here, and I wanted to jump on to talk a little bit about my first day experiences in the GVG expansion set. Now that it's officially released and you can buy the card packs, which honestly it seems like a lot of people are really going hardcore into buying packs. Like there were people who already had basically complete Murloc sets, even with Neptulon. People who seem to have every single mech card that they could possibly need. Making aggro decks, throwing in the power maces that shamans get, which is an excellent card I might add. And all in all, people seem really excited about getting the chance to play. I mean, who wouldn't be, honestly? It's a lot of new cards and things are pretty hectic right now. But it does seem like, on the whole, people are really going for the aggro decks right now. It's like, ooh, you can get the, I believe it's called the Mech Warper, the 2-3 for 2 that lets you get mechs out for cheaper, dump your hand, and maybe if you're playing one of the better decks, you roll that into a Jeeves. But in general, those crazy aggro mech decks that I was seeing a lot of people play are really vulnerable to AoE and run out of steam pretty easily. The ones that do seem to work a little bit better are the ones that use those Death Rattle minions, very similar to the Nax expansion where you had Undertaker, but not necessarily running Undertaker, instead just running Harvest Golem, Piloted Shredder, Piloted Sky Golem, as I thought those would be very strong cards. Although the fact that you get a random card out of it does seem to be a little bit on the weak side, because the card you might get could be completely worthless. Now myself personally, I didn't even play around with mechs at all. I got sick of seeing people play it. Instead, I was trying to play Pirate Rogue, which is actually kind of hilarious. It aggroes pretty hard. I don't actually know if the pirate deck would be all that strong in the higher ranks, though there is something more to be said about it now that you have the ship's cannon. The ship's cannon is effectively a knife juggler on crack. It has 2-3 stats for 2 mana, and whenever you summon a pirate, you get to deal 2 damage to a random enemy character, which can be minions or can include your opponent's face. If it hits the face, that's not all that bad, because the pirate deck is extremely aggro. I did end up throwing in a Jeeves into that deck, because it does get to the point in the later stages where you just run out of cards, and in those circumstances, Jeeves is pretty good. I think I'm also running in an Azure Drake. Right now, it's completely crazy. I don't know if it's actually the right move or not, but I took out Eviscerate because it seems so much about just going to face with your minions, and it is ultra weak to AoE. But even against control decks, you can get to the point where your opponent can't even take out an Alkanized Soul Priest combo with their Control Priest because you just have them so pressured so quickly. It works a lot like Murloc decks, to be honest. The main difference is since you're playing pirates with a rogue, you're going to have some weapons out. And I was actually using Perdition's Blade instead of Assassin's Blade at the end because Assassin's Blade and Captain Greenskin have the same mana curve. So if you play Perdition's Blade instead, then you can pretty much guarantee that you can have Captain Greenskin buff something that's at least reasonably worth buffing. And besides, the deck runs out of steam long before you can get the 4 hits out with an Assassin's Blade, so it's kind of a wasted weapon. And as you can see on screen, this was one of the last games I played for today, and this was with a Control Priest similar to what I and many other people would be running in the past. Kind of the classic Control Priest, but with a couple different cards in it. First off, I was adding in the Shrinkmeisters, and Shrinkmeister, you put -2 attack to any target minion for the single turn that you play it. Now that effect is actually crazy because if you can get to turn 8 or so, you can use Shrinkmeister to make a 3 or 4 attack minion within range of Cabal Shadow Priest and steal something even as crazy as a Ysera. As soon as I started going up against Control Warriors who were playing the classic Control Warrior, Ysera, Ragnaros, bloody Grimash Hellscream, and I'm sure they had Alexstrasza in there, I was like, I really want to steal those Yseras and I don't want to use Mind Control for it. Now I didn't get to actually pull this off and play because I didn't go up against any more Control Warriors yet, but I plan to do this trick, where on, well, it's already going to be turn 9 when Ysera comes out. You hold on to Shrinkmaster, you hold on to the Cabal Shadow Priest, and you steal Ysera without even having a Mind Control, plus put 2 guys on the board. I'm sure it's going to piss a lot of Warriors off, and I wouldn't be surprised if, just because of how good Shrinkmeister can be, if maybe Ysera falls out of the meta because people get sick of having priests take them without even using their MC. And also, they're chainable together, so if you want to do a turn 10 play, you can use double Shrinkmeister into the Cabal Shadow Priest and steal something like a Fire Elemental, anything that adds up to 6 attack. It's actually pretty absurd with what you can pull off. Now, I did throw one extra card into the deck, which is one of the new ones called Light of the Naru. Some people were speculating that it would be good in an aggressive priest deck, and I agree with that. If you use the 3 healing that it does for 1 mana as a Arcanized Soul Priest combo, that's quite a bit of damage for 1 mana. And regardless of if you're using it to heal or to do damage, if the target is not capped off to full HP, then you get a free Light Warden out of it, which of course is the 1/2 neutral minion that no one really plays. But what it does as an effect is every time a unit is healed, it gets +2 attack. And that can actually be pretty deadly. You wouldn't want to let any kind of priest hold on to that, because that card can get really out of hand, and for 1 mana it could get some insane trades, or actually put enough pressure on your opponent like it happened to me earlier, where your opponent is actually going to die to a priest before turn 20. Now I only have one of those Lights of the Naru in my collection and in my deck at the moment, and I'm still kind of testing with it, but I think it's actually a really strong card. I don't know if having 2 in there would be great for replacing something else, because Priest has always been a deck that's pretty competitive for what you put things in. Now there were actually a couple cards today which really surprised me in how good they are in action compared to how good I thought they would actually be when I was doing the first impressions. One of those is Neptulon, which is a 7/7 for 7, Overload 3, Shaman Legendary that gives you 4 Murlocs when you play it. Now the problem with Murlocs was always that if you could AoE them down and clear the board, then you'd be pretty much fine, good to go. But with cards like Neptulon, and I believe it's called the Siltfen Strider or something like that, the 2/5 Murloc epic that Shamans get whenever a Murloc dies, draw a card, and I think it also has Overload 1. Those 2 cards make Murloc actually a pretty sustainy deck. It is actually hard to break through Murloc now. Now you could argue that the Murloc player I was going up against just got really good card draws, but at the end of the day, Murloc has always been hyper aggressive, great at board control, great at just overwhelming your opponent, and they do have more card draw options now, which I think really makes it a lot better. I don't know if we'll be seeing it at the higher ranks, which I intend to try to climb to today. Well, not today, but this season. So Murlocs are definitely something to keep an eye on at the moment. Speaking of Shamans, I do actually think that of all the aggressive mech decks that people were trying to run earlier, the ones that you play Shaman and use the Power Mace, I believe it's called, which is a 3 attack, 2 durability weapon for 3 mana, no overload cost, and as a death rattle gives +2/+2 to a random friendly mech unit. Mech decks that are running that are actually very, very hard to deal with. So I'll keep it short and simple today. I just want to know, did you guys have similar experiences or things that were completely different? Did it also seem like everyone else bought 50 packs? Let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.